and hazy dreams, where time slows down and the mind gently gleams. Floating melodies, soothing beats arise, taking us away where imagination flies. Close your eyes, enter the dreamland serene, where the subconscious tells a story yet unseen. Loved by the rhythm, a trance slowly unfolds in this realm of tranquility where peace beholds.
Good morning, everybody. I hope this video finds you well. Hey guys, this is the second video of my series on affirmation campaigns, and these first group of videos is the basic groundwork to explain to you how the universe actually is and why affirmations work within this universe. So in my first video, really quick video, I just basically said something that I think a lot of you already understand, but you haven't taken it, internalized it yet, which is basically that you are a ghost, you are a spirit that just kind of zoop goes into this physical reality, lives through a life, and then zoop, you leave it. I think most people understand that, though it's very easy to forget since all we have to go by are our senses, our eyes, our ears, our nose, our senses. And back a couple hundred years ago, Newtonian physics taught us that nothing is real unless it can be measured by your senses. And Newtonian physics was really, really great because we developed engineering and all kinds of scientific marvels and mechanical mechanisms based upon the idea of what we see and feel and sense is reality. Right? Well, last decade or so, we've had quantum physics, maybe the last couple of decades, and quantum physics is something totally different. In quantum physics, basically, you study quanta. If you go to the smallest things in anything, here I have a soda. Actually, it's not a soda. It's a pomegranate drink. Okay, and this is made up of materials. These materials are made up of atoms. The atoms are made up of photons and neutrons and electrons, and those photons and neutrons and electrons are then made up of quanta. And quanta is also then further made up of even smaller stuff, which you might call brains, or you might call string, depending upon the theory that you feel most comfortable with. Now, for you to understand why affirmations work, you have to understand that this reality, everything you see, the delicious drink you have, all these things aren't really real. If you've watched The Matrix, you kind of know what I'm talking about. You're living in a simulation. So I could leave it like that and say it's a simulation, but for you to understand how affirmations actually work, I got to go into a little bit more detail. In quantum physics, there is this concept called the MWI, the Multi-World Initiative, which says that there's an infinite number of worlds, and you happen to be on this one. A lot of people misunderstand what the MWI is. They think of all these Earths, and they draw pictures of Earths, all these kinds of pictures. That's not the way it is. No, it's not the way it is. Instead, you have these frozen items of time. Imagine taking a snapshot. These snapshots. I refer to these snapshots as a world line. and you have an infinite number of world lines or an infinite number of snapshots. Now, for a easy way for you to come to grips and understand this concept, I'm going to use a grid of paper. Just a grid of paper. And if you can imagine, each and every intersection on that grid of paper is a world line, is a snapshot. But you're saying, but I see things moving about. And that's because our reality is not static, it's dynamic. Your consciousness, which flew into your body, is experiencing time. And what time actually is when you move from one world line to another world line to another world line to another world line. So let's look at it illustrated here on this graph paper. Okay? You enter in this reality universe, your soul enters into this reality universe, your consciousness enters into this reality universe, boom, you're in your first snapshot. Then boom, you move to the next snapshot. Boom, you move to the next snapshot. It's world lines. So you go from one world line to another world line to another world line to another world line to another world line. And that, people, is basically how the world line, how reality works. Reality is just an infinite number of fixed static world lines, and your consciousness moves into a body inhabiting one of those, and then moves to the other world lines that the body is allowed to move to. Pretty simple, basically. So what does this simplest model tell you? Well, the simple model tells you something very, very nice and easy. It tells you that there's no such thing as time. It's relative. Your consciousness experiences time, but the reality doesn't, which means there's no past and no future. All that there is your starting point and your end point, your birth date and your date of death. That's all that matters. And everything else is just fluff. This is a machine, a mechanism that your consciousness, or the sum total of multiple consciousnesses that reside within souls, have created to improve you, improve your quantum makeup, and improve your quantum being. It's pretty darn cool, right? So it's really easy to see it as a nice grid of organized world lines, and you just move from one to another and leave. Okay? Very, very simple. But you know what? It's not really all that simple. So we're going to go to something a little bit more detailed. Okay? In this more detailed version of what our reality is, you have to take into account that movement on these world lines, which world line you're going to move to, what snap, what frozen moment of time are you going to, depends on your physical action, not your thoughts. Not your thoughts. Only depends on your physical action. You shoot somebody, instead of going to work the next day, you're going to jail. That's a physical action. Okay? And likewise, verbalizing affirmations is a physical action. And because it's a physical action, what ends up happening, guys, is that if you are, all kinds of stuff happens. If you are reinforcing bad thoughts and saying bad things will happen to you, because you will be following the vector path of what you're saying. If you think good things and you say positive affirmations about yourselves, you will follow a good path towards good things. And if the playing field was level, if it was a nice grid of snapshots in time, of world lines, that would be fine. But it's not flat. It's not flat. In fact, there's a topography to it. So while the first illustration was of a very, very nice graph piece of paper, the reality is it's a mesh with mountains, hills, and valleys. This mesh of mountain, hills, and valleys is a measure of, I like to call it difficulty for most of you who are not engineers out there. But it's an enthalpy diagram having to do with entropy, chaos. The more discord you will see in your life, the more difficulty your life will be, the higher the mountains will be on this topography. Likewise, the flat topography is the easiest way. You just go through life and nothing changes too much. And sometimes good luck happens where you're actually going down the slope of a mountain. So the topographical MWI is what I refer to as the pre-birth world line template. I'm going to say it again. The pre-birth world line template. You see, there's an infinite number of these world lines, these snapshots in time. Infinite number. And there's also a lot of souls, a lot of consciousnesses. And when a consciousness decides to enter this mechanism, this reality, to get experiences, it maps out a lifeline. It maps out a lifeline. It says, I'm going to enter the earth in this particular body. I'm going to live for so many years, and I'm going to have these experiences, and then I'm going to die. And this mechanism will give you experiences that will strengthen various aspects of your quantum being in your soul. And we can talk about that later on. But for right now, that's what you're doing. You're improving yourself through experiences. Hard experiences, good experiences, and just some fun experiences. Improving yourself. That's the purpose. It's called a pre-birth world line template. A pre-birth is because you planned it before you entered into this world, into this reality. You planned it, so it's pre-birth. World line, because there's many, many world lines, and it's a map of you going from one world line to another world line to another world line to another world line. And it's a template. Because it's subject to change. So most people never change their template. They live this pre-birth world line template from start to finish, and that's it. But you can change it. And to change it, you slide off of it and you go on to another one, which is another subject for another time. But for right now, we're just going to talk. So remember, physical actions navigate on this map. What you do, what you say, your crafts, whether you paint or art or music, with friends you hang, all affect your movement on this map, on this pre-birth world line template. And that's the way that this reality works. Now, this grid, this mesh, is very, very easy to conceptualize. Now, remember how I explained that your movement on the mesh is done by physical actions. But I say your thoughts influence things, and they do. Thoughts influence your actions. If you're thinking all the time that you really want to have a pizza, eventually you're going to have a pizza. So they've done this. The movie theater. They just interjected these half a second snippets of Coca-Cola throughout the movie, and they found out Coca-Cola sales went up 30%. Thoughts influence movements. Well, what happens if you're sharing a world line template? You don't necessarily have to have somebody sharing it, but after all, there's billions of other souls and consciousnesses on this template. It may not be in your pre-birth world line template, but they're nearby, and they're doing all kinds of stuff, and they're thinking all kinds of things. What happened? And also, these people that you interact with, these animals, these people, the news, all this stuff generates thoughts, conscious thoughts. I have to fix the car tire. Subconscious thoughts. I have a hankering to get myself a milkshake. All kinds of thoughts affect this mesh topography. The topography of the pre-birth world line template. So what does it look like? It looks like choppy water. Instead of nice lines connecting together and forming nice points with a world line, instead what you have is you have probability confluence. You have probability confluence, and that is what a world line is. A world line is probability confluence that your consciousness migrates to. So people talk about luck, people talk about fate. Well, the whole thing, this whole concept of you entering in this world to experience things and leave it is fate, right? But the confluence vector, the confluence, the thought confluence, the world lines, these items of snapping, is the reality of how it works. You have to understand that there's all kinds of stuff in our universe, in our reality universe, that we cannot see. So reality is really like a big ocean. We, consciousness, occupy a sliver, the surface of the ocean. The highest areas, the air and everything, way up to the atmosphere, that stuff is godlike beings that our consciousness, too high of an energy, our consciousness cannot comprehend. While underneath the water is too dense consciousness, and we can't handle it. We repel and we buoy back up to the surface. We inhabit the surface, and the surface looks like choppy water. That's what it looks like. So here's pretty much, I took a snapshot. It's constantly moving, and I don't have the software skills to be able to draw world lines and movements on these things as they move. I'm not that good at it, but I basically show you how it works. Just like the other examples, you move from one world line to the other world line to the other world line to the other world line, just like those things, only you're on this constantly changing reality. You're constantly on this constantly changing reality, and that's just the truth of the matter. That's how it is. Now, it's very easy for us to imagine us like a fly landing on fly paper. We zoom in as consciousness, right? And there's a piece of paper, and then we go stick in there and we deal with it until we die, and then we fly off. But in reality, who's to say that the surface of the world line template is actually flat. That it's actually a flat surface. You see, I always go through this using things that we understand. It's easy for us to see it as a map. It's easy for us to see it as a topographical map. It's easy for us to see it as a surface of water. But in reality, this reality universe looks like a tube, like a tunnel. And we enter it and land within a world line, a body within a world line, and that's how it works.
In a realm of soft whispers and hazy dreams, where time slows down and love line gently gleams, floating melodies, soothing beats arise, taking us away where imagination flies. Close your eyes, enter the dreamland serene, where the subconscious tells a story yet unseen. Loved by the rhythm, a trance slowly unfolds in this realm of tranquility where peace beholds.
Now, people, that is the way our reality works. It's not that we're all on the world and we're all sharing everything and somehow you say a couple of words and your future changes. It doesn't work that way. The way it really works, I just showed you. That is what our reality is. How it's actually constructed. Using the illustrative tools that I have, I hope that I've made it perfectly clear how everything works. And from that, you can go ahead and configure and idealize how these things will manifest in your life. Remember these basic these basic truths. In this reality that we're in, actions, vocalizations, causes navigational direction. You want a good life, you verbalize it, you take action on it. Thoughts make the world line template choppy. They also influence your actions. So be careful on your thoughts. Just say, well, I'm going to think good thoughts today. It's not going to do jack shit for you. You have to verbalize things. The louder you verbalize things, the more potent your navigational ability is. The more often you say things, the more powerful it is. There's a direct tie-in, a direct correlation. And I think it's pretty cool. In subsequent videos, I'm going to start getting into the nuts and bolts. Now that you know this, this is the theoretical stuff that you have to go through so you understand why things work later on. Because I'm going to talk about really nuts and bolts stuff, what works, what doesn't work. And you have to understand that this reality is the way it is. It's the way it is. If you don't believe it, don't like it, that's okay. I'm not here preaching to you guys. I'm not trying to get a I like to have donations, but I'm not living off this stuff, guys. I just want to help you all achieve your goals. That's all I want to do. Though I am going to give you a short little notice, please like and subscribe. I mentioned this in my other video. You know, I thought I didn't need to mention like and subscribing it, but people watch the video, and if you don't remind people, they won't give you a heart or they won't like and subscribe, and I go down to the bottom of the barrel. Why should I do all this stuff if nobody's going to see it? My other channels, because my one channel was talking about China, well, that really got shit canned all the way to the bottom. And I also had other subjects that that they felt was violation of their terms and policies, which was being a Rufus, which is helping other people. But when other people are in distress, a lot of times that distress is a violation of rules and regulations. So how can you save a cat that's climbed up on a tree without saying that the cat is on the tree? So anyways, so please like and subscribe. Now, I want to say a couple last words here, people. Now that you know the reality, now you know how reality works, now that it's perfectly clear, the subsequent videos are really going to get into the nitty-gritty. And boy, oh boy, there are things that is just going to turbocharge your ability to make things manifest. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to close this video up with some points that should be obvious, but I'm going to spell them out. You travel from world line to world line roughly 4 world lines a second, 4 hertz. 4 world lines a second. The amount of time to achieve your affirmation goal targets is a direct function of how many world lines you got to go through to get there. If you got a lot of world lines you got to pass through to get those goal lines, it's going to take longer. But there's ways for you to speed it up, and I will talk about those things, okay? Remember, people, you're experiencing life on a personal level. Nobody else needs to know about that or even acknowledge it. Don't try working for closure. People won't understand you. But I want you to know one thing. I believe in you. I believe that you've experienced things. I believe that you can do great things because I believe in you. And I mean that. Take care, people. Have a great day, and I got great stuff coming down the pipe. Bye-bye.
In the haze of a quiet Sunday morning, lost in thought, imagination soaring, dreamlike melodies fill the air, creating a world where I'm happy in there. Close my eyes and let the beat take hold. Lost in a dream, I am never growing old. The rhythm flows through my veins, setting me free in this slow, soft and gentle reality.